Society can really benefit from the growth of technologies and also robotics, and we can benefit from the uptake of robots. At the same time, of course, and different ethical, legal, and those also social issues arise. And particularly if we speak about the growth, it is expected that the citizens and also professional users of robots start perhaps asking questions that what is the role of robots in our society? And perhaps there are some questions where we should really pay more attention, so that it's not about the technological development, but also that what is the societal impact of more widespread adoption of technologies. Next slide, please. Our team of experienced professionals, both from robotics and also social sciences and humanities, has identified issues which are the most burning ones if we speak about the issues which are beyond the technical development of technologies and robotics particularly. And you can see from this slide a summary of this research. So basically, if we speak about the non-technological aspects, definitely data issues are very crucial, also legal aspects, and for many companies, of course, also the aspects regarding the standardization of robots. Also, what about ethics and socioeconomic issues? And importantly, what is the role of education and also engagement of citizens to the development of technologies, and whether citizens and also policymakers have sufficient information about the technologies which are there, and whether we are capable of doing informed decisions, and whether we can appropriately evaluate the benefits of the technologies, and also tackle with the potential threats which are there. Next slide, please. And this is why we are speaking with our group of experts about responsible robotics. Of course, it's clear that this term can be disputed. Nevertheless, we believe that interdisciplinary collaboration and engagement of different stakeholders is the key if we speak about the economic growth of Europe thanks to technologies. So this is why we have conducted a survey, and you can see some of the results on the next slide. Next to the inspection and maintenance robots, we also work with healthcare robots and agricultural robots, and also, can you go to the next slide, please? Yes, so here you can see that we have asked more than 1,200 people from robotics community, policymakers and citizens, including 25% being representatives of inspection and maintenance robotics community, that how do they feel about the future of robots, and whether those non-technological aspects I mentioned are relevant for them. And here you can see the main takeaways on the next slide. So I think it's not a surprise for you, as you are all interested in technologies and robots and are probably working on daily basis in this area, so that by far the technological unemployment is the main concern. And additionally, To this survey, which results I'm presenting currently, we also did an additional survey among citizens specifically, so that more than 700 citizens were answering another type of survey where, again, this fear of technological unemployment was the number one concern. So definitely we cannot ignore that, and we should think when communicating that how we as experts, either in social sciences or technologies, can tackle with that, and how we could make sure that this fear is not making the adoption of robots in our everyday life or professional life more difficult. Importantly, of course, if we speak about inspection and maintenance robots, the safety and security are also top concerns, and are very highly rated in the list of priorities of our respondents, and definitely also data issues. And what is interesting is that, of course, we speak also about AI-powered robots, and people think that these technologies are not currently there. So, but if this will be more developed, then they actually have a very positive attitude, and they believe that the acceptance of this kind of technologies will happen naturally. And also to refer to the citizen opinions, actually they are also quite positive in general, so that they are really willing to learn about robots and how they can benefit, and how we could live together with them. So importantly, on the next slide, you can see that as we also communicated specifically with policymakers and we had dedicated interviews, then it was interesting that also policymakers felt that they don't have sufficient information that what are the solutions which are out there. And definitely this is something how we could provide information and support, and raise the awareness, so that also the decisions related to the legislations and standards are based on the real life information which is coming from researchers and companies working on the field. So to sum up this part, we see that what is important on the next slide is definitely providing more information, and we hope that also this workshop is a part of this activity about the solutions available to make regular people and also policymakers and experts aware of different robots which are either in development process or already coming to the market, that what is the future and how will it look like. And definitely in the context of inspection and maintenance, continuing, we should continue focusing on the safety and privacy. And all in all, to sum it up, definitely also our respondents agreed that the positive impact of robots should be highlighted, and addressing in the development process those soft values is a key issue, definitely. So, and the engagement of the end users of our technologies could be a solution. So this is why, very briefly, I would also like to make a short promotion here to one of our activities, which is validating robotics ideas and prototypes and solutions which are either already on the market or in progress, together with citizens, so that if you are a company who is working in this area and you would like to take this interesting journey if of working together with end users, then please contact our colleague from Danish Board of Technology who is arranging these activities. and we would be very happy if you contact us. But that's it from my side. Thank you very much. I hope that we are going to have a very interesting discussion about the role of digital innovation hubs in this interesting and challenging journey of making robots more and more adopted in Europe.
Thank you so much, Anneli. Now, I would like everyone to answer a few questions which I have for you. And first of all, um, I would like to know if you interact with robots in your home or personal environment. So you can answer as fully agree, I don't know, disagree, and fully disagree. All right, let us wait a bit more. Okay. Actually, we can see that a majority of people interact with robots in their personal environments. Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to the next one. And this question is, I interact with robots in my work environment. So you also have the same options to answer. Okay, a few more seconds. All right. And we can see that majority actually interact with robots. Okay, thank you very much. And the following question is, I believe I'm aware of the main non-technical issues that robotic industry faces. And you also have the same options to answer. All right, a few more seconds. Okay. So majority of people agree with the statement. Thank you very much. And I have a few more questions for you. So the statement is, I believe that various aspects of robotics are discussed sufficiently in the public discourse. And you have the same options to answer. All right, let me end the poll. And a few more. So the statement sounds this way: technological progress is more important than social progress. All right. And I'm ending the poll. Majority of people disagree with the statement. So thank you very much. And just to actually kind of get understanding who actually came to our workshop, I also would like to ask you a few questions. So, which group out of mentioned below do you belong? And we have the end users, asset owners, or asset operators, techno providers, service providers, integrator, public, or association. So if you're not sure what to choose, yeah, you can just choose public. All right, a few more seconds. All right. Thank you very much. And the last question, which I have for you. Um, so, what are your expectations from this workshop, from this event? Maybe you have something particular in mind, like networking or access to services, some business requests, experience sharing, technological support, access to finance, yeah, business support. Just let us know. Or you just would like to kind of expand your horizon, your knowledge about robotics in general. Right. Okay, a few more seconds and I will end the poll. Okay, so as you noticed, you actually could vote on the answers. So let's see what actually the audience expects from the workshop. So we see that knowing the applications of robots in real life cases and their lessons learned from the future application, cooperation with digital innovation hubs, networking, new ideas, funding opportunities, learning, networking for Horizon Europe, relationship with DIH on project, right? To know something new. All right. Um, Thank you very much. That was really helpful to kind of understand what people actually expect from our workshops. And I'm closing down the survey. And just let me know how you feel. Maybe you can give some reactions if you're following me. Now, I would like us to talk more about non-technological issues in robotics. And I will just ask you a few questions in the form of poll as well. And the first one is, what are, in your opinion, the main socio-economic issues in the adoption of robotic solution in inspection and maintenance? And you can just enlist whatever you think is appropriate. All right, I see the answers come in and I'll give a few more seconds for that. All right, I'm ending the poll and let's see. What are your answers? So the most popular issue is is trust actually. And then we have also safety and liability, lack of awareness and prejudice opinion, lack of knowledge of the potential by manufacturing SMEs, reliability and economic profitability, gap between school and companies, steep learning curve, robots are expensive and difficult to use by non-specialists, loss of jobs, loss of labor, optimization of processes, risk reduction. All right, these are actually quite insightful answers. So thank you very much for your opinions. And I just have a few more questions for you, just sort of think and understand your opinion as well. So now let's talk about some ethical issues in the adoption of robotic solutions, and let's see what you think about that. All right, I see the answers coming. Thank you very much. And I'll give just a few more seconds for that. All right, so I ended the poll, and we see that the most popular answer is responsibility of the robot's judgments, data management issues, unemployment trust, data governance and data security, privacy security, robot human injuries, relations to workers, and how robots affect regular workers' professional skills, fear of taking over jobs. Robots can be misused, use of public resources for private benefits, and further social stratification. So thank you very much for your opinions. It was really interesting to know them, sort of for us, for organizers. Um, yeah, now I'm closing down the brainwriting session, and I would like to give the floor now to our first presenters. So we have here Ebert Van Vondren, and he works as a project manager at Prototyping and Innovation Center at the Technical University of Košice, and he will give the overview of activities of the center together with his colleagues. And now, Ebert, can you see the
Yes, I
screen?
can see. Okay.
And just let me know when you need to switch the slides. Okay.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Anastasia. My name is Ebert Van Vondren. I'm from the Technical University of Košice, and Ladislav Markovic is a colleague. He will join the panel discussions. And other presenters here in this presentation are Anita Birkic and Dominic Sremic from the company Inetec. They will present about their company and, of course, the experimentation of their experimentation project within the RIMA FSTP program. Next one. Yeah. So I will do here, starting to tell about our university and the robotics hub, the digital innovation hub, and then try to explain how it works in our case, and try to connect also to the topics of this workshop. Then the colleagues of Inetec will speak about their, let's say, innovative robotic applications in the hard and dangerous environments. It's the nuclear business. And finally, we will look at the final slides as a wrap up. Okay. So let's start Slovakia. It is a country in the center of Europe. It's in the middle of Europe continent. But often, and it is lying at the east of the European Union. So that's maybe why we speak about Eastern Europe countries or mid-European countries. It's a bit because of this. And next, Anastasia. Košice is a city. Yes, city in the eastern part of Slovakia, and where our university is located. The history is about 70 years, so quite some time. A lot of students, and we have 9 faculties plus several other centers. Let's take a look at it in the next slide. Yes. So those 9 faculties. At the right side, these beams, the faculties are most involved and connected to the robotics. So mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and informatics, manufacturing technology. Those 3 faculties are mainly involved for robotics, and faculties in general, of course, they focus on education and research and development. In those next step, Anastasia, yes, we see that universities also, they are more and more also connected to the businesses to help. So you see that all kinds of other centra like startups, incubator centra, and the center where I am and my colleague are involved in is the Prototyping and Innovation Center and the Robotics Hub in our city. And we try to, we are connected, let's say, with as well faculties, as well other centra to respond and to be connected with the business, to focus on development and business like in so next slide, yes, technology providers, SMEs, companies, they, one back, yes, okay. We with our Prototyping and Innovation Center plus the Robotics Hub, we try to offer an easy entrance for SMEs to with their questions, their demands, their questions that we can respond on via what is all available on the university in total. Yes. Next slide. We as we have seen already in the brain session today, I give here also an overview of the challenges we see. So in inspection and maintenance for robotics, the technology levels are really very high because it's not so easy to make a robot really do these complex tasks. So this means also complex developments to come to a project, and that also high investments are logically so. Because of that, all the profitability is in many cases also a problem. And another obstacle, or what we see across Europe, is some differences between the ecosystems of countries. And the next step, yes. So also, as we already saw in the brain session, and questions, resistance from communities. We have seen several possibilities. So the creation of a sustainable solution in the field for robotics, inspection and maintenance, that's a challenge, let's say. So next step. So in this, for this all, the local hubs, and ours is one of them, or what we will see, a network of hubs spread over Europe. We try to help and give also extra support, as well as fundings by European Union, Horizon Europe, etc. Try to support the whole and make those challenges a bit lighter. Okay, next. So a bit from a different view, but more or less what I already said, that our hub and a hub in general, I think, can be seen as a one-stop shop for the SMEs. They should have an easy access, low-profile access, come to the hub, and then sort out, we as entrants, sort out what is the SME asking for. And in that case, try to help via what is available in the university as a faculty or prototyping center or other competence centers, laboratories, etc. Or perhaps trainings or via the service profile all hubs have in general work on in terms of technology services, business services, and ecosystem services. I think Christophe will speak more about it. And of course, thanks to the RIMA network, not only a local hub like ours, but also all other hubs spread over Europe, specifically designed or interacting together for this inspection and maintenance, expand the possibilities, the competencies, etc., where we as individual DIHs know about each other. And finally, depending on the question of the SME, once more coming to the local DIH, we can provide also what is available in the rest of Europe. So in total, a quite powerful construction, let's say, to offer the best we have. Okay, next one. So how it looks in our case, to give you a bit more concrete picture. Our hub, we have this machining hall, we have all kinds of assembly and manufacturing and testing facilities, research cells, etc. And what you see also here, we do the total process in case customers would need that, to design and produce and deliver really unique robots for the customer. In this case, also for the nuclear business, a nuclear power plant. So yeah, once more, training services and the network opportunities, the network possibilities. I think that's in total what we all can do. And next one. Yes. So I hope that my colleagues from company Initech are also in the meeting and they could proceed over here. Are you there?
Yes, we are here.
Okay, excellent. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Ebert, and hello, everyone. My name is Anita, and I'm a project manager here in Initech. And at the beginning, I will tell a few words about our company, and my colleague Dominic will introduce our Magic Lancer project. Can you please, next slide, thank you. So Initech is a high-tech company. It has around 100 employees at the moment. Our specialty is robots, instruments, softwares, and probes for medicine, nuclear, and aerospace industry. And as you can see on this map, we have clients all around the world. For example, Armenia, Brazil, Finland, and so on. Next slide. All our equipment is qualified and it's following ISO standards, and our services are research and development, manufacturing. We are providing pre-service, in-service inspection and repair services. also engineering activities, training, and consulting. Next slide. Our main values are efficiency. We are constantly learning, and that is why our work is efficient and products delivered in time. We have a passion for new technologies, learning, and new challenges. We are flexible with customers' requirements. We have responsibility with each project, and our employees put their ideas into the action. So we are very innovative, and all our equipment and products are safe for all the environment. Next slide. So I will ask Dominic to continue with our Magic Lancer project.
Okay, thank you, Anita. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Hi, my name is Dominic Sremic. I'm a robotics specialist from Inetec. Our core business in Inetec is to design robots and manipulators for performing nuclear inspections. We are also part of ITER project, from whom we are designing inspection equipment. And our plans are to get involved also in space industry. In this project with RIMA, we are cooperating with a company called Magix. They are designing and selling radiation-tolerant chips for all kind of purposes. So with this project, with RIMA, we will make Magic Lancer 2, which is manipulator for performing reactor pressure vessel inspection, but it will be radiation resistant. So next slide, please. We have in Inetec we have designed a modular PCB. You can see in picture. This modular version of PCBs are designed for all kind of purposes. So we have PCU module that supplies all other electronics. We have motor module that is designed for supplying brushed or brushless motor up to 350 watts. Then we have digital input-output and analog input-output modules that can expand our needs for all kind of sensors or digital outputs like pneumatic valves and so on. And next slide, please. So with project with Magix, we want to design a test box and control unit, and then we put all our current electronics and our new radiation tolerant electronics in this test box and connect with cables to our control box that is outside the radiation zone, and then we would power up the motors and pneumatic cylinders and log all the files, log all the movements of motors and sensors, and we want to know exact moment when the radiation not hardened electronics will fail. We suppose that radiation tolerant electronics will not fail at that moment. So next slide, please. So this is CAD models of our for these two boxes I talked about. On the left side, you can see the control unit. We have power supplies and a few electronics inside. And on the right side, you can see our non-rad hard electronics and rad hard electronic that will power up each motor and cylinders, and these two boxes will be connected with cables. Next slide. Yeah, that's it from me.
Okay, yes. Thank you, Anita and Dominique, for this interesting.
Welcome.
Yes. Okay, as a wrap up for this our presentation together, just once more the topics of this workshop, enhancing and adoptions of robotics. I've shown you also the challenges as we see. And on next slide, yes, I try to wrap up with there is a lot already there to cope with to cope with the challenges, etc. So we see lots of facilities across Europe. Extensive knowledge and competences, those connections and sharing via network, I think it's also a great thing. It's really nice that via this RIMA project we could work and build on that. And financial support, of course, from several sides, governments and the European Commission, etc. Easy access points for the SMEs. That's also what really is already there and should be used. I think the DIHs are there building and working for better services, etc. So yeah, the DIHs, hubs, as we try to bring together the demand, the questions, the problems of SMEs, and try to connect it to the supply, which is in the university, in all those facilities, competence centers, etc., across Europe available. And Initech is doing a great job, I believe, plus also making excellent use of what is here offered and as opportunities. And yeah, we are looking forward for new good results also for this magic project. That's it, I think. Yes. Thank you for your attention.
All right, thank you so much, Ebert, and the colleagues from Initech.
Welcome.
So my name is Christophe Leroux. I'm working at the French Nuclear Agency and Renewable Energy Agency. And I am coordinating this RIMA project that Ebert has been talking about already, and where he gave some illustrations of what is in practice the activity of a DIH in our project. So RIMA means Robotics for Inspection and Maintenance, and it's a project that was funded by the European Commission in January, and we started in January 2019. In the context of the Digitizing European Industry initiative launched by the Commissioner Oettinger in 2016 about digitizing European industry. And with the observation that Europe was lagging behind in these digitizing of industry, and in particular with SMEs that are not using as much as they could or they should the available technologies in research organizations and research or universities. So in the context of this digitizing European industry, there are two instruments that the Commission was proposing is this concept of digital innovation hubs that are organizations located in regions which held or which are supposed to hold innovative technologies not available on the market, and they are composed of several organizations, and their goal is to facilitate this uptake of technologies by the industry. RIMA is about inspection and maintenance and of infrastructures, and to give you some illustrations here, we estimated at the beginning of the project that the market was approximately around 450 billion euros a year. There is a significant potential for innovation in Europe, although there is no real connection established between industry and research organizations. So the objectives of RIMA, of the project itself, is to establish this network of digital innovation hubs all over Europe, and the network of digital innovation hubs that was focusing on robotics, and robotics applicable for inspection and maintenance of infrastructures. And we received also some funds to support financially and technically SMEs in a set of experimentations selected through different open calls. We also had in mind to set up a set of courses to facilitate the uptake of these technologies, to develop new skills in particular, and inform people also on the way that were offered to obtain some funding to develop their business or facilitate the technology transfer. And at the end, so RIMA is a project that lasts 4 years, and one of our goal is also to enlarge this network in the end and gather all the organizations that are from far or less close to inspection and maintenance in different sectors. So the sectors that we're covering in RIMA are transport hubs and transport infrastructures, ports and airports, roads, rails, waterways, and we also support this sector, cover the sector of water supply and sanitation. And in energy, we also are interested into production and distribution of energy, including nuclear, renewable, and all the sources of energy. And of course, all these infrastructures that would need or that could take some advantage of usage of robotics to reduce the costs and develop the socio-economic, have a socio-economic impact in Europe. The network itself is composed of 13 digital innovation hubs, which are, as you can see on the left-hand side of this slide, they're spread all over Europe, from Cyprus to Spain, and from Italy, Greece to Norway and Finland. And we have one in Poland, Slovakia, as Ebert has already presented, and so on, two in Germany. So we are offering in RIMA some, we're gathering or sharing informations between the different digital innovation hub. And you can see on the right-hand side of the slides the two types of partners involved in the project. In the gray area, those are organizations that have an expertise in robotics, in different applications or different sectors of applications in inspection and maintenance. And on the yellow box, you have what we call facilitators, and that is organizations which can facilitate the links with industries and SMEs. So, for instance, we have a funding box which who has a very wide network of contact with SMEs. Sprint Robotics is the association located in Denmark, which in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, which is specialized on robotics for maintenance of and inspection of infrastructures. And and the association, like Foratom, is dedicated to nuclear. FUR is about transport. EFNDT is about non-destructive testing. Water Europe is about water supply and sanitation. So we here is to show you how we the effort that we dedicate to support SMEs. We have been organizing 2 open calls. The last one was closed in June or was finalized, let's say, in spring 2021, and the first one was in 2020. So we have 16 million euros in total for in RIMA for the creation of this network, and we dedicate more than 10 million euros to the support of SMEs and training of SMEs. So we have selected 50 innovative experiments, and you have seen one in the previous presentation. And you see on the right-hand side of the slide the countries that were beneficiaries, where SMEs where the SMEs beneficiaries were located in Europe. So you see that we have a vast coverage, and we means that our network is quite active anyway. So our expectation is to have this socio-economic impact in EU, and with the creation of new services, new businesses, new products, and creation of jobs, with together with the reduction of costs and a reduction of risk and ensuring safety of. So these are the type of experimentations that we select and that we support in RIMA. The offer of the support from RIMA is structured in terms of services. So the technological offer is represented by research organizations, research and technology organizations, and universities that you've seen in the previous slide. And the services, we have a list here, but there is a bigger list and our community tool about, so the services about essentially advising for financing, for technologies, support for proof of concept, technology transfer. Also, what is an important point is the support for testing, with access to testing facilities to demonstrate the effectiveness of the solutions that need to be matured. Also connections and to certification bodies, to incubators, and also what we're trying to do is provide these information on the actors of the value chain. And one thing that we also have been making in RIMA is we organize them. We supervise the market study that we can use also to provide information to the potential partners of the network. Of course, we also provide some ways to communicate and facilitate dissemination of information and results of the partners of the organizations, techno providers that are associated to the network. So all these services, the perimeter, the activity, the value proposition, the financial charge for the customers is described on the community tool. I will come back to that later on. And we anyway have got some feedback already from the customers, the potential customers, that is the SMEs, the industries in RIMA, which approved and are satisfied with the offer from the network of the digital innovation with the complementary role of DIHs here and there in Europe, and the fact that we have all an expertise to support innovation. This is interesting. This network is interesting since all DIH do not have the same expertise, and for instance, that there may be some that are more focused on drones and flying machines. Some others may have better expertise in underwater vehicles, or others in some specific domains, like in TUC with Ebert at CEA, with some specializations on nuclear interventions. So the network of the DIH is operational already. We offer also some support besides the open call and the support that we offer to SMEs selected in the open call. We offer also we use the RIMA project to support industries in general in bilateral actions with the same ID, the same type of presentation of the services. So these services are presented in detail on the community tool, which I'll give you for which I will give you the link below. And of course, we try to use this connection that we have between the digital innovation in Europe to reinforce our capacity to support innovation through the sharing of information. So one thing that is important is that we now have we try to have some kind of bottom-up approach within which we provide in an easiest way, in a simplified way, at least that's what we expect, the technological offer and the general offer of each DIH in terms of services. This is completely complementary to a top-down approach, which would be more research oriented. So here we have an approach which is really oriented to towards the needs of SMEs and industries. Well, now, and I will conclude that presentation here. With this slide, we have I think demonstrated now with experimentation that we mentored that this network of digital innovation was an efficient instrument to favor this innovation. We already know that some of the experimentation that were supported have already created some startups, some new products, some new services, and that they're commercialized. So this is quite satisfying for us, and which shows the effectiveness of this network of digital innovation hub and the pertinence of the approach. And there is a real consensus from the SMEs, from the industries, on the interest of this network of digital innovation hub to support them in innovation. So here you have a welcome page of this RIMA network community tool, which is you have the address below, where you can find plenty of information, a lot of information about the experimentation that we are mentoring in RIMA, a description of the services provided by each DIH, and also some offer of the techno providers, SMEs, which are connected to or interested into inspection and maintenance, robotics and technologies connected to robotics. That is, it can be AI, it can be sensor providers, it can be any type of techno provider. So it's a kind of a tool that we're improving day by day to describe what is the offer of this European network of digital innovation hubs in the domain of inspection and maintenance, and connected to robotics. So that's was my last. This is my final slide, and what I would like to pass on as a message is if you are a techno provider or a service provider, you can try to join us by describing your offer on the community tool, the RIMA network here. Or if you're a candidate to become a digital innovation hub and join the network, this is something also we're trying to develop right now. And of course, if you are an SME, you can also contact us, and willing to do and interested in innovation, you can contact us to or the closest DIH to you to know how or we can support you, and how we can also elaborate some proposals eventually to answer your calls from European Commission, and if you're looking for solutions, if you're an industry and asset owner, asset operator, you can also contact us directly and we can try to help you to find some ways. So that was my last slide, and I hope it's open to questions if any. And I'll pass on back the floor to Anastasia.
Yes, we actually have a question. So participants are saying thank you to you, first of all. And then Carlos is asking, will the European Commission keep funding these networks of digital innovation hubs?
Well, no, the network of digital innovation hubs should be self-sustainable at the end of the project. So sustainability, it means financial sustainability, and this sustainability should be, we are trying to organize this financial sustainability with the associations, Sprint Robotics. So the whole network itself should be plunged into the association. This is one of our objectives. So there is no financial support indeed from the Commission for the future. although we are trying to raise the attention of the Commission on some perspective for next years, since we think that the action of RIMA were quite effective, quite influential. We know with some some indications that we got that now the SMEs that were supported in RIMA are able to raise funds to develop or to further their products, and big amount of money. So this is something that we're trying to work at with the Commission. What would be the future of this network and of digital innovation, and what form will be the support that the EC will be willing to offer? There, and some of you may be aware that there is a call for EDIH at the moment, or maybe closed actually. The European Digital Innovation Hubs, but this is not completely in our mind. This is not. This doesn't represent really an extension to RIMA or a prolongation to the network of digital innovation hubs, since we have these specificities in RIMA to be dedicated to inspection and maintenance of infrastructure, which is some and to robotics. And robotics for inspection and maintenance of infrastructure has some specificities that is different from the specificities of robotics for manufacturing, or robotics for healthcare, or robotics for other domains. It's a different market. It's a different stakeholders, and the value chain is not necessarily the same as it is in the different sectors. So we are very eager to support the continuation of this specificity in the future. Now the question is not only in our hand.
Right. Carlos is saying thank you for you. Yeah, I guess that's it. And
thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you for your time, and to the audience. Okay, so anyway, if you need to contact the network, and if you want to get some more information, please don't hesitate to contact me or Ebert, or go to the community tool, and then you'll have some mailing addresses where you can get some further information.
Yeah, maybe Christophe, you could just put the link in the chat for the community tool.
Sure.
Okay. And then thank you for your presentation. And I think that now we will have a break, a 10-minute break. So let's be back. Well, let's do 12 actually. Let's be back at 12:40.
Okay, so I will put the timer on so I don't take more time that is foreseen for me. So thank you for inviting me. As Anastasia was saying, my name is Maria Roca. I'm project manager at Fundingbox. In my case, I'm focusing on projects related to manufacturing companies, and also the uptake of digital technologies. In this case, I will be introducing I4MS. And just to let you know that we are a European project. Maite Carracedo is the project coordinator. She works at Fundingbox. And also together with us, we have Mobile World Capital Barcelona and Tecnalia, who are the partners of I4MS project. So just to give you an overview, I think I4MS is very similar to RIMA in the sense that we are kind of a network of different European projects that we offer funding, training, mentorships, and access to physical and virtual technology platforms. But our main focus is to manufacturing SMEs. So our main target, the funding that is related to I4MS, is given to manufacturing companies, and in some cases, depending on the open call, to the technology providers that support these manufacturing SMEs. So this, I would say, is the main difference with RIMA, and of course the technologies that we are covering. As you can see, I4MS is a European initiative that started in 2017. We are now in the 4th phase. New projects will be launched in the coming years. But during this phase, there are 35 million that will be distributed in different open calls. So you can see here that our main focus is digital twins, human-robot interactions, artificial intelligence, and laser-based additive manufacturing. Of course, all of these technologies should be applied to the manufacturing sector. But in any case, I think this has a lot of commonalities with RIMA, because in the past, there are some experiments that has been funded with I4MS funding that were to create some drones for the inspection of wind turbines. So I saw that there's some similarities also with RIMA. So about the funding opportunities, and since I don't have a lot of time, I wanted to share with you the calendar of open calls. As you can see, during this year, there will be several calls. Now, the call for change to twin is open. They have also now an open call for DIHs that are interested in gaining knowledge on digital twins to participate. And also, if you are an SME, you have this assessment voucher call. Also, in the case of DigitBrain, that the call is opening next week. And some other calls, for instance, related to the laser-based additive manufacturing from Pulsate that is currently open. So you can check all this information in the website of I4MS. We update it every time that the new call is open. And also, if you subscribe to our newsletter, you will receive an alert every time a new call is open. So what I wanted to explain you also today is to talk a little bit about the lessons learned. So we have been explaining during the morning, the different support that is given to SMEs. We have also heard an example of an SME. And what I can share with you related to I4MS and some of our lessons learned is that we need to improve the geographical coverage. I think Ebert already mentioned it, that there is a mismatch on the innovation level in different areas in Europe. And let me go to my next slide. Okay. I didn't want to unveil the other, but it was like, I just wanted to show you this because I think it's very important that DIHs can play an important role in making sure that all the SMEs have access to the latest technology wherever they are. So in the case of the University of Slovakia that was presented before, Ebert, so I think he mentioned it, that there is this widening approach where Eastern countries might not be so well represented in terms of using latest technology applications, or in my case, in the case of I4MS, the experience that we have on the number of proposals that are received during phase 4. And, then also this is the analysis of the supported experiments. So experiments that were funded, not only that were submitted. And as you can see, the trend continues. Germany, Italy, and Spain being the countries where most of the support goes. So, DIHs should have a clear role in supporting SMEs here. Another lesson learned, that we need to raise awareness of SMEs. Christophe mentioned it. They are doing courses to make sure that SMEs understand what are the advantages of the different technologies, because at the end of the day, it might be difficult for a small SME to grasp what is the main, what a technology can do for them. So I think projects like us, like RIMA, have an important role in showing success stories, in showing examples of SMEs that were in the same situation as other SMEs and that they succeeded. Of course, at the end, with this type of support that we are offering in I4MS, these are amounts that go from 60 to 200K. So at the end of the day, of course, it's not to deploy a technology in the shop floor, but of course to do a test and know if your company is ready to invest in this technology, or there are further developments that you should consider before, making a higher investment. One important thing also to consider SMEs' interest, because sometimes we are so much focused on what we have to do in our project that we somehow forget a little bit to talk the language of the SMEs, to know what they are their main interests, because we need to make sure that we connect with their interests and their needs. Okay, I think this is crucial, especially for the DIHs and the persons that are helping on a daily basis the SMEs to really connect with the interest of these SMEs, and try to talk the same language. Also, about the skill mismatches, what we found out is that it doesn't matter, which is the interest of an SME in a specific technology. If we don't give the tools to the persons that will be managing these technologies inside the company, they won't ever take profit of it. So it's important that all the digital innovation hubs and also network as us really do an effort in including, in our case, we created a catalog of trainings that I will show you now. And of course, to collaborate with the ecosystem. I think we will have some time to elaborate more on this in the panel discussion. But what is important is that DIHs have the opportunity to connect among themselves, learn from each other, and network like RIMA or I4MS offer the possibility, to leverage on the support and opportunities that we are offering to SMEs. Because of course, if you collaborate with other DIHs in a specific technology area or in a specific type of support, you will be able, So in the case of I4MS, what we try to do is to create an I4MS online community where we share information about funding opportunities, best practices, and also we try to organize events also with the members of the community to make this networking, especially now that with COVID, we are a bit blocked in this sense that we cannot go to events. We try to make that the community is like the meeting point for the different stakeholders to exchange their views, opinions, and ideas. Also, as you can see, we are very proud to mention that 42% of our members are SMEs. We are now making an effort, as I said, to extend the geographical coverage of I4MS. You can see that still Germany, Italy, Spain, and France also are like the countries that are much more represented. What else? Also about the catalog of trainings that I mentioned, we have created a catalog of trainings of 200 different trainings. You can see here the information that you will be able to find in our catalog. And this is very important because at the end of the day, the technology should go hand by hand with the training and the skills of the different persons that will be involved in the uptake of these technologies. And I know that I'm taking a bit longer just to finalize. In the case of the contact points network, that we have created a network of DIHs where we try to give them support through the organizations of Industry 4.0 events to raise awareness among the SMEs and also, of course, give them visibility. You can see here the example of Transylvania DIH. We have more than 100 contact points at the moment. And of course, if you are a DIH and are interested to join, please let me know. I will leave my contact details afterwards. And finally, as I mentioned, the success stories. We try to give information about the different success stories of the different SMEs that participated in a way that is understandable, that also is catchy, as you can see here, maybe here is not so visual, but we try to do short videos to explain it. But you can see here, one of the things that this company did, they reduce the time and the cost of creating their solar panels by 20%, and also they achieved an energy saving of 30% uses cloud computing technology. So at the end of the day, I think if we talk about savings, about the increase of the productivity that these technologies could impact the SMEs, maybe we will increase the desire of these SMEs to participate in our open calls, or even if they don't participate, to approach digital innovation hubs to know more how these technologies can be implemented. And that's it from my side, and now I give the floor to Roy.
Thank you, Maria. I believe you can give me now.
I stopped sharing, so you should be able to share, I guess.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so, well, I'm Roy Rodriguez, and I'm Program Manager at Fundingbox. And also, I was part of the executive board and managing the open calls in the A4U project, and we are partners in 4 of the umbrella projects, Bonsabs, Elise, High Energy, and Stairway. Today, I will start with a short intro on the status of the AI market and the AI in Europe, and afterwards I will do a short intro also of the A4EU platform and some opportunities for some funding opportunities under this initiative. Okay, so the AI business market is, it's growing really fast. It is estimated that the volume by the end of last year was around 90 billion euros, and it will multiply by 10 in the next 7 years, which is, exponential growth. But most importantly, out of around 2 out of 3 of the CEOs believe that AI is going to influence the business world even more than the internet did. Okay, so having a perspective on AI, on where Europe is on AI compared to the US and with China. On one side, Europe is still behind on digital ICT, and also is still behind on investment, on private investment. Though I have to say that in private investment in last year, Europe got a record investment of $120 billion, and Europe for the first time was above China and the US on the bigger rounds, on rounds above $5 million, 33% of the total investment in the world was done in Europe, what looks really, really good. In terms of research, in terms of the number of papers, Europe is just below China, and in terms of the total number of researchers, Europe is, the first out of these 3 markets. So all those numbers, even if we are still lagging behind, but all those numbers led the Commissioner Mariah Gabriel to see that she's really, really optimistic about Europe becoming a powerhouse for startups and innovation. Okay, so after this intro, I would like to show what is the AI on demand platform and why what is the vision, right, of the AI on demand platform? On one side, in Europe, there are many skills, but also there is a lot of fragmentation, and it is necessary to do a push to create more AI products, services, and technologies. Okay, so the AI for EU platform is to mobilize the entire AI community and to create a collaborative European platform to nurture the economic growth through AI. Okay, so it pretends to be the A4EU platform pretends to be a catalyst between research and industry. Gathering both education resources and AI tools, software tools, algorithms, and so on, coming mostly from the research, and take them to the industry by being used by startups, SMEs, and so on. Well, on the main strategic arguments for the European AI on demand platform, you know there are several, from speed up the innovation process, lower the barriers for the SMEs to use of AI technologies, to having a one-stop shop for the European AI resources, also to facilitate the networking between different stakeholders, SMEs, researchers, large industry, and so on, and of course follow and support the ethical and regulatory aspects on AI, the ones that are part of the Artificial Intelligence Act presented in April last year. The platform has different target users, researchers, developers, business corporations, and SMEs and startups. Here including the different needs and also the services for each of them, but maybe it's even better to see it directly in the platform. You can access the AI on demand platform in AI4Europe.eu, and there you will find two main platforms. Right? On one side is the AI experiments one, where you can build a pipeline of solutions using the different AI resources in the platform, and then we have what we call the CMS, that is the website where you can access the different parts in the platform. If you go to the platform, you will find this menu. On AI community, you will find all the different organizations and projects of the AI4Europe. You can include your organization as part of the platform, or even the projects that you are part of if they are related with AI. In business and industry, you have access to the different open calls, most of them addressed to SMEs, but also to startups, and also you will have access to the different use cases and the different pilots done as part of the project. In research, you will find all the different AI algorithms, software tools, and so on. Today, there are around 220 different tools that you can use with many different purposes. In education, there is a catalog of education resources from masters to short courses and so on. In ethics, everything related with ethics and the ethics observatory. In services, you have the access to the AI4EU experiments facility, where you can experiment with the different resources on the platform, and then there is also a news and events section. So, yeah. Besides the presentation of the platform, I wanted I will do it in 1 minute. I wanted to mention, some funding opportunities around the platform. The European Commission presented a couple of years ago the strategy on AI, where the European Commission will invest directly around 1 billion euros from last year, 2021, until 2028, and they want to leverage around 20 billion euros of investment around AI every year around this investment that they will do. As you can see, the European AI landscape is huge. There are many different initiatives. The one that started with the Horizon 2020 program, AI4EU, and the umbrella projects that are the ones that we will focus on today, but those funding will continue through Horizon Europe, Digital Europe program, and so on. And so on the A4EU umbrella projects, there are some funding opportunities open. Here you can find 4 of them. In all those cases are, as in I4MS, those opportunities are mostly focused to support SMEs to adopt AI. It is true that in some cases they are funding startups or technology providers to develop solutions so that those solutions can be used by low-tech SMEs at the end, but it's mostly focusing SMEs and startups. Here you can find 4 calls that are now open. Maybe besides the calls addressed to SMEs and startups, we have also in Bonsaps and Stairway 2 of the projects a call for SPCs for running the solutions, and also calls for AI talents, where different people expecting AI can apply to support SMEs in developing their AI solutions. Those are the 4 calls open. There are another projects that will open calls soon in Q2, Q3, and Q4 this year. I have included here everything with the links. Hopefully the organizer of the webinar can share this presentation with you afterwards. And this is everything from my side. From more info, you can go directly to a4europe.eu. And if you are interested in the open calls, there will be a joint webinar where all the projects that have calls open will present their open calls. I think that it will be 6 projects presenting there. So you can go through this link and register for the webinar. That's everything. If you have any question, we can discuss it now in the discussion.
And actually, regarding the presentation of Maria and Roy, you were talking about the fact that Europe is lagging behind China, for example, and the US. And do you think that Europe can be the powerhouse of innovation and compete with China and the US while, of course, putting some special emphasis to some soft values as ethic or some socioeconomic issues that we were discussing today? What is your opinion on that topic?
Indicators in the last year, in the last years, were showing that it would be, I would say, almost impossible, right? Because it seemed that Europe was really lagging behind both of them. But in the last times, I think that there are signs that show that it's possible, right? For example, the investment received by European companies last year was a record year that I believe that 5 years ago, nobody would believe that it would be possible that European companies could get so many investment. And also another point that I think that is really interesting is that Europe usually had, it was really hard for European companies to access the bigger rounds, the rounds in Series C, Series B, the ones that really allow to create big companies. And last year, in year 2021, Europe was the leader in those bigger rounds. So 33% of the investments in the big rounds of above 5 million euros were invested in Europe, what is really good news. It's true that we also need to check where this money comes from, right? And it's true that many American venture capitals have started in Europe and that they are investing in the companies here and so on. But I don't know. I think that we can be optimistic, and I agree completely with the quote that I presented from Maria Gabriel. And I think that other elements, like the ethical aspects and so on, something that Europe was always putting a lot of focus in it, and that it seems that that was not relevant for the other markets, for China or the US. Both of them are now starting the regulation on these areas in China with a specific law, that was already released, and in the US, some of the states like California are already working on this. So it seems that at some point they will also, the path started by Europe will be followed by the other big markets.
Yes, thank you very much. So I think it's a very interesting and crucial question if we talk about China and US, which maybe have a bit different starting points also if we compare to Europe, and we see that we are a lot value-based, and we would like to keep also this attitude that there are some basic values which we consider as important. So this is why I assume Anastasia posed this question, that whether this is something that could boost our innovation, or can this also be an obstacle if we speak about the growth of our companies. But glad to hear that you are optimistic in that regard. So, so if any other speaker has an opinion about that, would be of course very, very interesting to hear. But if there is no, then what do you, if again, I would like to go back to the beginning of our workshop. So different areas of expertise were mentioned in your speeches. So if you, as digital innovation hubs or experts, you work with companies, either then from inspection and maintenance or manufacturing, or also other technological areas, then do you yourself also specifically put emphasis on, let's say, different criteria which are related to ethics or socioeconomic points if you consult the companies and you want to help them to grow? Is this an issue for you, or you see that this is one of the possible obstacles?
Well, maybe in the case of the manufacturing sector, what I can say is that mainly if we talk about data sharing, this might pose a questions for some company related to ethics, or they are unsure how they should share this data, because there are so many restrictions. And maybe this is a bottleneck for the SMEs if they consider, in the case of the manufacturing, I would say that the main bottleneck, and maybe related to the ethics, could be this the use of the data. That the difficulties that some small SMEs might have in this, and how they can share data with other companies, how they should do that. So I think this is, in the case of manufacturing, a real bottleneck. And of course, in the case of AI, I think the ethics is considered in all European projects, or at least this is how we deal in the different projects that are funded under I4MS or under SAE. That is a similar initiative, that even if they are small projects, they should go through an ethical assessment to make sure, that they comply with all the rules. So I think perhaps this is something that is still far, at least, especially if we think in the industry network in Spain, that SMEs might see it as a burden to consider all these aspects, as they are not used to it.
And you, as experts, are you specifically developing also your skills in this area, so that are you trying to push the companies a bit towards this direction, or this is currently not the main service line, so to say, or area of expertise? So basically, whether digital innovation hubs are also trying to build this expertise to support companies both from the technical and non-technological point of view. Because I think someone also mentioned that that you're working together with users and you are assessing the needs of the users, for example. So that so I was just also curious that how this happens in practice. So that how do you assess the needs? I think it was Christophe, you who was mentioning that. Could you elaborate a couple of a little bit more on this?
Sorry, Amelia, I can't hear you very well. You seem to be very far, but I understood that you were willing to understand if we were trying to do some create some incentive for SMEs to use new technologies or.
No, I was actually rather trying to ask that whether digital innovation hubs as such also pay attention, for example, to those non-technological aspects of
Okay.
And whether
Sure.
you you put special emphasis in growing your expertise in this, because I think you mentioned also that that it is important to assess the needs of the users. And apparently it means that the needs of the users should be considered in technological process. So I was just curious that how do you do it? Because user engagement is one of those dimensions which is the soft dimension, so to say, and which is considered to be important.
Yes. Well, in RIMA, we have for each of the experimentations that we mentor, that we supervise, we have a process within which we assess the ethical aspects, safety aspects of the experiments. We do that with some colleagues who are experts in ethics, and we even have some let's say some reservations. It's rather strong incentive for people to take into consideration the ethics and safety issues in the experimentation that we supervise. When we talk about end users in RIMA, inspection, maintenance of infrastructures, it's not a one person. It's more like big groups which were generally aware about these regulations and safety limitations, safety conditions to work new technologies. So it's not so complex for us to address these issues in the project. We're anyway very much attentive to these considerations when it concerns new products and new services. Don't know if it answers your question, but
Yes, thank you. Maybe anyone else is also willing to answer or amend.
Just to tell you in practice what we are trying to, because people may not know so well what are ethics, what are the things that we are considering. So we're trying to provide some guidelines and also mentor concerning the ethical issues that could be raised by these experimentations in real.
Yes. So thank you very much for this answer. We are actually aware that there are several assessment models already in Europe to assess the impact and maturity of AI-powered technologies, and we ourselves are also willing to develop a model to assess the so-called non-technological aspects of robotics. So this work is currently in progress, and we hope to have some very interesting results. But of course, we are also trying to apply ourselves the same approach as we are sort of expecting from the others as part of this responsible technologies and robotics concept that we are trying to develop it together with the end users and companies and citizens and professional users. So this is something that is in progress under the leadership of our French partner, LNE, who is working on daily basis with technologies assessment. So, but let's go back to the digital innovation hubs. So, if we would try to summarize these discussions here today, so what would you say that what are the biggest challenges ahead your work? And I'm sure that you also plan to constantly enlarge your networks. So, so how do you do that? What are those carrots to attract new members? And if you see your development in general, that what are those challenges, or what is the way for the future for you? A very generic question, but hopefully some ideas or tips.
So maybe if I can start. In the case of I4MS, I think it's in the nature of the DIHs that they want also to be part of the different networks, either because we provide first-hand information. In our case, we also, organize different training activities for them to better understand, what is I4MS about, the advantages of the technologies. We provide different materials so that can be helpful for them when they are visiting the SMEs, to show, as I was mentioning, also to show examples on what they can, what they can achieve if they, for instance, prepare a project for our calls. And also, I think networking is in the core business of the digital innovation hubs, to set up collaboration with other DIHs, learn from each other. So I think it's a little bit from our side, but also, from their main interest. And also one thing that to me work very well in I4MS is the organization of events. So we supported organizing local events with experts on the different technologies in case they didn't have access to this type of experts. And also we were explaining them about the different open calls. So I think it was, a mutual relationship that make us succeed in how the network of I4MS is working.
If I can tell something, for me, from our experience in RIMA, the main value is this networking, because it helps us to increase the quality of each player, to increase quality of services. We made training programs, training videos for SMEs, and such a training video was made by experts, the main experts from the network. So this highest quality was spread among all the DIHs, and they can serve the best quality for their local SMEs. So this is the best experience from our side.
But if I may, how do you define quality? So what does it contain?
Now I'm speaking about technical quality.
Yeah, sure.
Quality of knowledge of last information from the field, because we have these domain groups. So we are concentrating knowledge from each particular domain in this group, and are spreading this knowledge, this edge of technical knowledge to everybody.
Thank you very much. So we encourage everyone to look for collaborations and networking, because it's indeed can bring some value. But do you also see that there is value of interdisciplinary collaboration? So have you, for example, ever collaborated with social scientists in developing technologies? Has this been an issue or not?
I can say that in the field of touching, the field of artificial intelligence, it's really actual, and we had discussions already in this field, but on other fields, it's pure technical.
Anneli, I think one nice example of this could be the project that is under I4MS that is called Better Factory. And in their experiments, they also include artists as part, they include digital innovation hubs, manufacturing companies, and also artists for them to give also their vision. For instance, how to create a product that is manufacturable, but it still seems like handmade. And they incorporate this vision. I think is interesting. So I will leave the link to the website of this project in the chat. So if someone is curious about, because they have very nice examples already to be shared.
Yes, because this is one of these interesting concepts, which is now also heavily promoted across Europe. So that apparently this interdisciplinary collaboration is something that is in line with European priorities. So this is where the European Commission also strongly believes that this is something that can really create this change. And my personal experience is that, well, thank you, Maria, very much for bringing this nice example that how this can happen actually in practice. My experience is that it really takes some time. And if we look across Europe, then also how to put it, not the level, but just the stage is very different. That how people perceive this idea of working, for example, also in technology projects together with experts from different areas, and the key seems to be a lot of networking and discussions and analyzing that how different disciplines can bring benefits, and importantly how the societal impact can be measured. So Anastasia is asking, I think it was partially already mentioned which strategies can digital innovation hubs employ to expand its network. So maybe Christophe, you would like to answer to this.
Christophe, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry, could you repeat again
Yes,
the problem
so
with my...
I think that we partially already mentioned this question as well, but still there is a question here in the chat that which strategies can digital innovation hubs employ to expand its network, and how do you try to expand your own network? So
yeah, okay.
is there
sorry, yes.
an answer?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Yeah, okay. So yes, we are trying to extend the network in proposing. We're trying to describe the offer that the advantage that we have, that it will represent to join the network as a DIH, and that's something we're working at with Radislav and Ebert in particular. It's very open. We are very open to this. Our aim now is that we have been assessing this work together with the 13 Digital Innovation Hub we'd like to extend that possibilities to other candidates all over Europe. We had some constraints at the beginning to choose one digital innovation hub per region, but now I think we are a little bit more free to do as we want. What we expect from organizations that would join the network is that they have some expertise in robotics and some interest in their ecosystem, in their regional ecosystem for inspection and maintenance in one of the sectors that is concerned by maintenance of infrastructures. So it's a process that we're if you know some organization that want to join, it's really easy to contact us. It's the better way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Christophe, just one last question. I think you answered already also the second question, which was here in the chat. So thank you very much. So here in the last presentation, we also saw the statistics that how much the AI is going to grow in the future. And I think that also during the pandemic, the use of different technologies really was raising, and we were sort of also forced to see that how different technologies can help us to continue our lives more or less in a way as we were used to, although without this human touch, but using technologies. But if we speak specifically about inspection and maintenance robotics, I think that this is definitely a very specific area, which is probably also not that well known by, let's say, regular people, so that maybe they are not even aware that how much robotics is used, for example, while inspecting different bridges or pipelines, and because it's a bit hidden, so to say, and probably need some expert information and insights to be aware of it. But nevertheless, do you see that also this is an area which is rapidly growing, so that the growth of this area is in line with this overall growth of AI and robotics, so that although it's maybe not so visible for citizens, but that there is growing demand and growth in this area as well.
Yes, indeed, this is the next question. Indeed, this was the reason why we had this market study organized in RIMA at the global level and European level, also to identify what were the perspective for growth for robotics and inspection and maintenance. We made this analysis, analyzed the market per sector, essentially. This can represent a big market, really big market in Europe, and the natural demand is to include more and more technologies, digital technologies. So not necessarily robotics, but robotics is part of it. Robotics is can have a role in this big market. Because why? Because inspection and maintenance of infrastructure are representing tasks that are not repetitive. It's not like in manufacturing or in a production line. There is a specificity which complexifies the task of operators, and there is also an exposition of operator at risk, for instance, and with the risk on the roads, the risks on when you do some inspection or maintenance on the roads, or the risks in hazardous environments. So it's there is an attractiveness for the usage of robotics to support operators, and in that sense, there is not so much fear about employment losses because people see the robot as a tool to support their work. And also on the research side, it's interesting for us researchers, because it's specific problems and challenges that we have to address. But yes, there is definitely some trend to deploy robotics in this environment, which can be explosive, hostile, and dangerous for operators.
Thank you very much. I think this is a very relevant point which you highlighted, that as we presented here the results of our survey, where people are still a bit afraid, and they are afraid that they will lose their job and technologies will take over. But I guess here, in case of inspection and maintenance robots, we can clearly see that, obviously, coming back also to the title of our workshop, that the societal impact can be rather positive, because the area is dangerous, and if we can show that that we are not
Yes.
taking away the job, but we are taking away this dangerous part of it, then this is of course great, and people can start like reallocating themselves to some other tasks, and it's of course great to hear that this is definitely also an area which is growing rapidly.
Yes, well, the growth is there is a growth anyway, a trend to extend the usage of robotics and digital technologies in this domains, in this sort of application. But yeah, I was very interested by your survey, and because I saw that the first the first fears were about safety, or the first concerns were fears, not fears, but safety. The concerns were more about safety and trusts than about job losses. And I think it is very illustrative of the specificities of robotics in inspection and maintenance and repair.
Yes. So definitely in this area, this was highlighted that, of course, safety is key for
Yeah,
every.
when you operate, there are some, for instance, there are some infrastructures that you have to inspect and maintain, and which are inaccessible to people by the regulation. You cannot enter a pipe of less than 1 meter diameter, for instance, or when you work in height, or when you work, it's always it can be very problematic, and the regulations concerning the safety of operators is very conservative for good reasons.
Yes.
Yes, and maybe in addition, in case that the task is not so complicated for a human to do, then there still for a robot it will be difficult. Not as difficult as under severe circumstances, but still it's difficult, and this means that the cost for a robot are high, and people will do the job comfortably and much more cheap. So
That is actually a very interesting point which you mentioned, because I happened to listen one radio broadcast where a company representative was actually highlighting exactly the same point, that if you are an SME, so not a very big company, then buying those robots can be very, very expensive, of course. And then sometimes maybe also if the technology is not yet that developed, they are very slow. And actually the safety is rather not to destroy the robot by people, basically, that you don't damage yourself, the robot. So it's, yeah, so it's clear that there are so many different angles which are crucial for the companies, whether they take the robots or not, and this everything what they have to consider. So that from one side, of course, it's nice to talk about the non-technological aspects, but we all know that the companies also are looking for profitability, and they want to also being balanced in that term, so that they have to consider so many different aspects.
Indeed, exactly. And
Yes.
what I also a bit showed in the presentation there is, and Maria also mentioned that this geographical differences within Europe, with quite labor differences, labor cost difference, makes also that in some countries maybe the technology could be competing technologies, but in other cases not yet. And this is making, yeah, maybe from our point of view as a DIH to expand, yeah, let's say the connection with our ecosystem. Yeah, in our case, I would emphasize it's really contacting the companies. I think it will be for us very good to do it in an active way by offering webinars. We organized last year a webinar, Ladislau, international webinar together with other competence, top experts, I would say, and by such webinars and also trainings to offer to local companies, they get involved. They learn a bit. The contacts can be made, and from that one comes another. Yeah, I think that is just what I wanted to say. What for us very important.
So it's also my experience that some processes, they take time, and that you need a lot of like personal work and really talking to people to make changes happen. So I think that also very many things which we today consider as normal, they have been a result of years and years and decades of work, and it's actually also a shift of mindset in several aspects. So definitely not something that can happen very quickly. So thank you very much for this interesting discussion. Anastasia, would you like to
Yes,
ask a
just
question
Anneli,
or take
if you
over,
wish.
or tell us whether we are out of time?
Yes, we actually are, but in case everybody would like to add something on the topic or just share some experience, feel free to do that.
Yeah, one thing, Anastasia, concerning the development of growth of robotics in inspection and maintenance, there is something which definitely is going really fast, is on the inspection of infrastructures using drones. Using flying drones is something going really fast. That's and which causes also some issues in regulation, safety, and so on, and ethics, privacy, that may interest you.
Yeah, that makes sense. Of course, as the drones also contain the software, right? So the software also grows really fast and develops, not just the hardware itself, the drones. So yeah, I guess we may close the discussion, and I would like to thank everybody here, all the speakers. And if you would like, you can share your emails. I see that Maria already did that. If you would like the companies or participants to reach out to you, and yeah, I hope that some participants will come to our next workshops. We will be having the workshop in March about policy issues, which are pretty much a burning topic nowadays in the European Union. And yeah, well, thank you so much for the discussion and your time. And I'll see you next time in our workshops. Yeah, and I will send the email with all the recordings to all the speakers and to the presenters as well.
Excellent.